Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this free video I want to cover crude and copper. Crude and copper are the two canaries in a coal mine when it comes to the global economy. If there is true growth, economic growth globally, not just in the US, Europe, China, etc. If there is true global growth, you're going to see names like crude and copper head higher. I think the fact that crude right now is heading higher, we'll get to that one in just a moment, is a little bit more of a geopolitical conversation, US-Iran tensions, but copper is not deviating from the story. So I want to talk about copper, and I want to mention a few things for traders to think about. First of all, copper is in a downtrend, and the downtrend has corrected. I don't mind that the correction has this blue grab candle. I don't mind that we've been dominated by blue grab candles in the correction. That's really normal. It just means that the candles are closing within the 34 EMA high to the 34 EMA low, so we're inside this range. The other thing to think about is that as this market bounces, this correction, this retracement, are we below key levels? Here's a 55 EMA, here's the 200 EMA. We've only barely flirted with the 34 EMA on the high. So is this a shortable market? It is. And I think another thing that's got my attention is the fact that when I look at this V score right there at a negative 0.28, the current V score you can see here is a negative 0.53. So the closer we get to the zero, the reversion to the mean, obviously the lower the number as we close in on the zero, I think anywhere from about 0.50 to 0 is a V-score where it shows us the standard deviations have pretty much gotten close to maxing out. Ever since this market turned into a downtrend, as you can see right here, and go straight up and right here, okay? Ever since it's turned into a downtrend, you can see we've had a very difficult time getting back above the mean. And so as long as you stay just below the mean or not too much above it, just really preferably below it, this is a shortable market, and that's just the zone that we're in right now. So a couple things to think about is from a risk parameter standpoint. I would rather most traders trading, say, small accounts, to me, say 10K or less, trade copper when it gets up to about 72.95, 2.7295, 2.7280, that area. From current levels, the risk actually would be close to $800. It'd be about a $775 risk from this area right here. And it would be closer to $200 to $300 up at the area that I'm recommending. So if you're playing copper across multiple lots, say 2 lots of copper to the short side, you could be at a $1,500 loss. And one of the things that we've been doing in the chat room is we're using a 10K account example for members, especially new members. What do you do with a 10K account? And we've been doing this since the end of May. So right around Memorial Day, we started this up for a lot of the new members that had taken the sonar class, come into the futures room and watch me use the volume price studies and the grab candles and the wave, etc. So we've been doing that to show traders that you can scale this. You can take a relatively small account and you can make you can scale this. So if you're trading 100,000, great, you can scale my trades accordingly. But if you're trading a smaller account, how do you use options in the futures or the ETFs in lieu of the underlying contract? Those kinds of things. Copper is one of those examples where you really can't. The options are going to be on certain platforms. They're simply not going to offer you options on copper. People who are trading Thinkorswim will, I believe, see that very quickly. The ETF for copper isn't really a liquid one at all. COPR or CPER, not very liquid at all. So again, something to think about. So a lot of folks are going to be trading straight up the underlying futures. So let's go to crude here. So when it comes to crude, I do want everyone to make note of one thing. When it comes to copper, I am looking at the September contract, and on crude oil, you're at right now trading the August contract, okay? And you can see where the 55 EMA, the top of the wave, this VWAP channel is pretty much sitting. In fact, the second line, actually what I want to do is re-anchor this to the 23rd. So a couple things to keep in mind with what we have right now on crude. Do I think the downtrend resumes? It is still barely hanging on to a bearish trend, but it is hanging on. So we're taking a little bit more heat than I would have liked to have seen. You know, this is basically the Iran narrative playing out, but this is where I do anticipate crude exhausting and us rolling back on over for at least a retracement to the downside. Okay, keep an eye on these markets. They are in downtrends. That tells you a lot about global growth, and I'll see you in the next update.